So in this video, we are going to be taking a look specifically on how to compare real numbers. All right, so for this task, what we're going to do is we need to put each of these formats into decimal form, which means I need my handy dandy calculator. All right, once we have them in decimal form, we're then going to place them on a number line from least to greatest with that comparison of zero, so we understand where ultimately it's going to fall on the line. Okay, so our first step is we're going to take a look and we're going to go ahead and we're going to make all of these into decimal forms. So in our calculator, we're going to type in the square root of 2. So we're going to type in second, then we're going to type in our x squared because that's the opposite of square root, and then we're going to type in our 2. And so we know that the decimal expansion of this is 1.414. Well, this is already in decimal form, so we're going to have 1.5. And if we don't know what 4/3 is, we're going to type in 4 divided by 3 equals, and we're going to go ahead and write 1.333 repeated. Now, I'm not going to put the repeat bar because I want the ability to compare it to these other digits. Okay? The next thing that I traditionally do is I like to then number them. So I go through and I compare it by place value. So we start off with the ones place, and they each have a 1, so they're tied. So now I'm looking at the tens place, the digit right after the decimal. So I have a 4 versus a 5 versus a 3. All right, so we're going to take a look at these. So the least number would be the number 3 because he is the smallest. So he would be listed first. The 4 is the next smallest, so he would be listed second. And the 5 is then the largest, which would be listed third. So when I go ahead and draw a number line, that means from least to greatest, I would have, I'm going to go ahead and number. So all of these numbers fall between 1 and 2. So at 1.5, he would be listed here. At 1.414, we have the square root of 2. And at 1.33333, we have 4/3. Now notice when I'm listing them, I am putting them in the original format that they fall into. I'm not putting the decimals unless the decimal was what was given. Sometimes our comparison is using our inequality values. So we have our less than symbol, our greater than symbol, our equal to sign. All right, so again, to convert this, we're going to type in second x squared, and then we're going to type in the 8. So this decimal is 2.82, and this is 3. So the 3 has to be larger. Another way to look at this is the square root of 9 is 3, and because this is the square root of 8, he's 1 below it. This has to be smaller than 3. So let's take a look at another example of how this could be worded. Some of you guys will see this on Freckle Math. All right, so this is saying place the numbers in order from least to greatest. Which number will go in the orange box? All right, so the orange box is my greatest value. So I need to know which one of these is the largest number. All right, so again, I can estimate if I wanted to, and I could say, well, this is below 3 because he's the square root of 8 instead of the square root of 9. And he's greater than 3, but ooh, how close is he to 3.2? So what I can do is I can go ahead and go through these. Now understand, because I have 3 different square roots, the square root of 5, the square root of 8, and the square root of 13 have to be in order. Please understand that. So 13 is bigger than 8. 8 is bigger than 5, even with square root symbols going around them. Okay, so again, I want the greatest value because I'm looking at what's in the orange box. So I'm not even going to look at square root of 5 or square root of 8 because 13 already beats it. Okay, so I need to calculate what the square root of 13 is. So I'm going to type in second x squared, which is 13. So the square root of 13 is 3.60. Compare that to the decimals that are available. We have 3.2 and 2.9. So this square root of 13 has to be the greatest. Now I could fill in the rest of these if I wanted to and calculate all of them, but for the purposes of what this question's asking for, it's saying which digit or number goes there specifically. Okay? Another one here, this one is asking me for the yellow box, which means I actually have to put them in order. But here's the thing. Some of them are negatives and some of them are positives. So let's talk about how to order negative numbers. All right, so let's go ahead and calculate. We need to do the negative square root of 2, which is negative 1.41. And then we have negative 1.6. And then again, I have negative square root of 3, which is negative 1.73. All right, so I have these three negatives that I need to put in order on a number line. And a lot of times when we visually see it, I always like to put the number 0 in because it's reminding me that the closer I am to 0 on the negative side, the larger I am, because as I keep moving right, I am going to get bigger numbers. Okay, so as I list these on the number line, when I am negative, the bigger the number that's negative, the smaller I am. The bigger the number of negative, the smaller I am. So in this case, negative 1.73, or negative square root of 3, is the smallest because he's the largest negative. Negative 1.6 would be the next smallest. And then finally, negative 1.41, or the negative square root of 2, would be the next smallest. So understand how negatives work. Then as I travel the other direction, and I have to get square root of 3, which is 1.73, I can then put these in order on the other side of the number line, where I would have 1.5 and the square root of 3 because of how those digits fall. So then to answer this question, the negative square root of 2 would be in the center. So again, make sure you are focused in on where those negatives lie. Okay? I really hope that this video helps you figure out how to order real numbers. All right? Any questions? Just kind of picture, what does a number line look like and where would it fall? And also think about money in terms of being in debt or being in the positive and how much you have.